Hey fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you're a Patreon patron, thank you for your patronage. If you're watching on YouTube as a subscriber, thank you for that. It is the holidays, so I'm sure you've had a lot on your minds, but see if you can remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. We get paid by Amazon if you do that, and the instructions are in the show description below. Our question today from Sifted from Derek D111. Sony bought Insomniac for $229 million, and Microsoft bought Bethesda for $7.5 billion. Did Sony underpay or did Microsoft overpay? Bethesda is definitely worth more, but 35 times more. It's funny, I just had this conversation, and I'm not going to tell you the name of the company, but I just had this conversation with a company that is looking at selling itself. And I'm pretty confident that they're going to do a deal with my firm to represent them. But the reason that they would hire my firm to help them is that I know all the people in the video game business and can help them sell their company. And I specifically did not bring up either Bethesda nor Insomniac. I brought up Respawn, and I brought up Codemasters. And I said, Respawn sold after making Titanfall, and obviously Vince is one of the guys who kind of invented Call of Duty and had done Medal of Honor, and they were working on the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order game at the time that EA bought them, and they were clearly working on Apex. I mean, EA bought them and Apex came out a year later, so clearly they knew. And they paid $450. And Apex is probably doing $700 million a year, and Star Wars is good for $500 million every 3 years, and so it's a really good acquisition. Where Codemasters they bought, and it was doing $150 million a year, and they paid $1.3 billion. So $1.3 billion is about 9 times revenue, and 8 times revenue. And Apex they got for probably 2/3 of a turn of revenue. So 8 times is 2/3. Did they overpay for Codemasters? Probably not. Did they underpay for Respawn? Absolutely. And so I was talking to this company who wants to sell, and I said the difference is that Take-Two came in and bid $990 million for Codemasters, and so there was a competitive bid. There was a process. Not that Codemasters was represented, but they got a bid from Take-Two, and EA decided they wanted them more, and they paid 40% more, and that's how the $1.3 billion came up. Respawn wasn't in play. And I told this company, if you can get a competitive bidding process going, your company is worth a lot more than the fees you're going to pay to a bank. And just an FYI, banking fees are, depending on the size of the company, between 0.75% and 5%. So a tiny company, company that sells for $50 million might be 5%. A company that sells for $1 billion would be 0.75%. And so, in order to cover your 0.75% fee on $1 billion sale, you need to get $7.5 million more. So I'm not going to say what this company's worth, but I just said you just need to get 1% more, and you would cover the fee. And please trust me, your company, I could get more than one bidder interested, and I believe that. So that's what we do, and my bankers obviously do all the work, but I help my bankers to kind of write up the sale case. So the answer is Insomniac. I love those guys. Had they gotten represented, we would have gotten them more than $229 million. And
how much?
It's hard to say because I don't know everything they had in process, but I would have known had they hired us. Arguably 50% more. Certainly more. Like I said, the fee on that was, I don't know because I don't do the investment banking, but fee on that would have been 2%. So, in order to justify a $4.6 million fee, they would have to get $5 million more. I can confidently say that we would have gotten them $5 million more. Would we have gotten them $25 million more? Yeah, probably. Would we have gotten them 50% more? Yeah, probably. But, and by the way, even though I'm sure they will all deny this now, I had deep conversations with Epic back when they were talking to Tencent. And I believe I'm the reason that they sold 40% and not, like Tencent wanted to buy the whole company, and the answer was no. and then Tencent wanted controlling interest, the answer was no. And I'm the one who came up with a 40% stake at a pretty high valuation at the time, which turned out to be a great deal for Tencent. But the Epic guys were able to sell a big chunk of the company, which helped them to expand the campus, hire a lot of people, and create a currency for their employees that they could pay them in stock that was worth something. Now it turns out that they sold for a small fraction of what the company's worth now, but Fortnite wasn't a thing yet, and I don't think we all realized how big the Unreal Engine was going to become in filmmaking. Tencent probably didn't realize it either. But I helped them structure that deal, and we didn't get paid. They didn't hire us, and they didn't have a banker, and so they sold 40% at a 1.6 billion valuation. But that was 8 or 9 years ago. Today they have plenty of representation, and they're much smarter about floating stock. It doesn't have to be Wedbush, but Bethesda, when they sold to Microsoft, was run by Robert Altman, who is an investment banker, and he died. He's a really awesome dude. But Robert is as sophisticated a seller as there was. And the funny thing is, Bethesda was for sale for $800 million 15 years ago, and $1 billion 10 years ago, and $4 billion 5 years ago, and price kept going up, and he finally got it. So I think Microsoft paid what they needed to pay to get the deal done, but on a revenue multiple, Insomniac probably is good for $300-400 million in sales every 3 years, so $100 million a year. And Bethesda is probably only good for maybe $500 million, $700 million in sales a year, so they paid 10 times revenue. Insomniac, they paid 2.2 times revenue. So, yes, they overpaid for Bethesda, but that's what it took to get it. Thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you're a Patreon patron or a YouTube subscriber, thank you for your patronage, and you're getting this real time. If you can remember, please link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. The directions are in the show description below. And if you are not supporting us financially, but you just love all the pack you can get a hold of, then please follow me on Twitter. You'll get even more on Twitter at Michael Pachter. See you next time.